You're listening to English Go Podcast. We'll get started right after this. I'm a little late with this podcast today, aren't I? I did something rather silly and I lost my headphones and I lost the cable that connects my microphone to my computer. I've now found both of those. The headphones, however, they were in a very silly place and I'm not sure how they got there. Well, I must have put them there, but I don't know why I'd put them there. They were in my wardrobe. They were hanging up. Hanging up inside my wardrobe. Weird, I don't know. But I'd been looking all over for them. And I'd been putting off making a podcast episode for you until I could find it. And I couldn't record like one of my private podcast episodes either this weekend. And in the end, I had to use my iPhone to record it, which probably didn't sound that good. And I thought I was going to have to do the same today, because it's just getting so late, and I hadn't uploaded anything for Wednesday. But thankfully, I found the silly place that I had put my headphones in. Anyway, on the weekend, last weekend, I took my nephew, who's 6, to the Science Museum in Birmingham. It wasn't my idea to take him there. It was my sister's idea. She thought it would be a good place to take him because, I think partly because they had some event on. They've got this area upstairs called Mini Brum or Mini Birmingham, and it's like for children. And you could like make a Christmas card or decorate a Christmas tree and go and visit Santa Claus. So she thought it would be good to take him there. I've been once before, a long time ago, to the Science Museum, and I thought maybe it's not the best place to take a child because there are some like interactive things you can play with, but there's a lot of, like exhibitions, like things to look at, like stuffed animals and things to read, and that really wouldn't interest the child. So, I'll let you know how the day went. The first task I had was to pick him up in a car, and then it was about a half an hour, 35-minute, 40-minute drive into Birmingham. And I think this is the first time that I've picked up my nephew and driven him somewhere, probably. And what I discovered was he's very, very good at talking. And it's a non-stop, endless stream of talking. And when you're trying to drive, it's quite difficult to concentrate on what he's saying and also to concentrate on the road. And it's very different as well, listening to a child speak, like versus listening to an adult speak. I think it requires more effort because 1 minute you can be talking about one thing and the next minute it's just gone on to something completely different. And sometimes it's something like, really weird or, I don't know, something like to do something they've imagined or something. So yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. But that was fine. Managed to find the parking after a while. My sat-nav, my satellite navigation was taking me to some weird place and it wasn't working, and I had to keep driving around a bit, and yeah, I think he was getting a bit bored. I couldn't find the place, and eventually I got there, so that's okay. Anyway, we entered the Science Museum, and the first thing we did, on the floor you enter on, so there's 3 floors. There's 3 floors, including the ground floor. And the first floor you enter on has a load of like engines, like big, huge engines, and also like there's a steam train in there, like full size, real steam train, and there's a tram. I don't know if you know what a tram is, maybe. And some cars and things like that. So it's like a transport type of theme. And for the kids, you could go around. You could get this piece of paper, And you could go around and you had to find these machines that would stamp the paper, and they'd leave this little like pattern in there. And he really enjoyed looking for those and stamping those. I don't think he enjoyed looking at the machines so much, or the cars or anything like that, because it was just like, I think it's difficult for a child to be interested in those kind of things. You just see this big machine, it's just going around, like some big wheel is turning around, and you can't really understand what it's for or why it's there. He did ask. He said, what is this? And I said, it's an engine. He said, what's it used for? I was like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was used in a mill to make flour or something. Who knows? It could be anything, really. It's an engine. You can use it for many things. We weren't on this floor for very long, and then we had to go to the next floor. And on there, I think there were a few things he was interested in, but mainly there was a TV screen, and it had a camera pointing at us, and it was a thermal imaging camera. So you could see like hot things and cold things on the camera, and he found that quite interesting. Like our coats looked quite cold, but our hands looked warm, and our faces looked like a bright colour, and he quite liked that, and he was dancing in front of that. And then we had a bit of a look around some more exhibitions, and there was this one that showed you all these things that are made of oil. And he was looking at that for a while, and he said, are all these things made from oil? And I said, yeah. And he seemed to find that interesting, which I thought was good. And then some of the bits we looked at, like some bits where you could, I don't know, they had like a mini car. Not a mini car, a Mini Cooper, an old-fashioned like Mini from the 70s British car. And you could see all inside it and all that kind of stuff. And he was not so interested in that. So like we'd only seen half the floor, and he said like, can we go to the next floor? So we went up to the next floor, and I think that's when he saw the shop. And that was for him, I think, the most interesting thing in all of the museum. He loved the shop. And I said like, we're going to come here on the way out, on the way out, because the exit's just here. So we have to come here when we go back. And I could tell he wanted to go to the shop. But I thought we should leave that till last. So we carried on, and I don't think there was too much for him that he was interested in on that floor. So we went up to the next floor, and we found this place called Mini Birmingham. And we took about 2 steps inside it. It's a big hall, and there's all like these, like a road on the floor, and like, I don't know how to describe it, like a mini city, and you've got all these little shops that children can play in and stuff like that. So it's definitely for kids. We took about 2 steps in, and he said, can we go back out? And I said, why? And he said, well, it's for kids. And I said, you are a kid? And he said, no, it's for younger kids. And I don't know if it was. I mean, no, I don't. I think it is probably for his age, but I guess he just thought like, no, this isn't for me. Which is a bit of a shame, because I felt like that was the sort of kids area, and then the rest of it was sort of like for adults mostly. So there wasn't really a place that was good for him. But he had to go on a few things, like played with a few things in this kids area in the end. Although I had to sort of convince him to go around it. I said, well, if you don't want to see it, I want to see it. So we went round together. And then afterwards, there was this like robot that you could give commands to and like make it dance and stuff like that. I quite like that. We tried to go to a planetarium where you can, lie back on a chair and like look at a projection, like a cinema. But you can, watch things related to like stars and the planets and so on. And that was closed when we tried to go, so we couldn't go there. He did have an appointment to see Santa Claus. But he didn't want to go in the end, because he got a bit bored of this museum, and our appointment was at 2:00, and it was 12:00, and he wanted to go. So anyway, we headed back to the shop, because that's where the exit is. and I was going to buy him some like little toy thing, and also his brother, I was going to buy him a toy as well. And it was all going well, and then he spotted some Minecraft toys, and like Lego Minecraft, and they were expensive. They were like £45. And like that's if it's Christmas, that's a good gift. If it's your birthday, probably that's a good gift. But like just as like a souvenir from visiting a science museum, that's not really a good gift. That's expensive. So he was a bit upset that he couldn't get that. But in the end, he saw this like it was like a gun, and you could shoot like a jet plane from the gun, like yeah, I don't know how to. It's a bit of a weird looking thing, really. But you like push this jet plane back down onto this gun, and you press the trigger, and it shoots it off, and it flies through the air. And he had that instead, and he really liked that. And then afterwards, after you get out of the exit, you go round the corner, and there's a science garden, which is sort of part of the museum, but completely free. Anyone can enter it. And he had a really good time in there. I think he enjoyed that a lot more than the museum itself, which is funny because it was completely free, this bit. And I know he was just playing on all the different things, and there was this giant wheel, sort of like a hamster wheel, but humans could go inside it, and he really liked that. And we both went in there, and we were running on it together, and that was fun. And they had like this rocket that you could launch. It was like a plastic drinks bottle, but this machine would fill it up with water and air, and then you could launch it into the sky. That was quite good. So yeah, all in all, I think he enjoyed the trip a lot, even though it wasn't maybe the best place to take a child to. But yeah, I think there's lots of bits that he enjoyed. So yeah, it was a good day out. I've been to a cinema with him before, just the two of us, but this is like the first time I think I've been somewhere a bit more challenging, shall we say, because obviously as the adult you have to look after children, and that's something that I'm not too well practiced with. I don't have any children of my own yet, so yeah, maybe a bit of practice for me for the future, that was. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I hope your English studying is going very well. And I look forward to speaking to you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to English Go Podcast. If you'd like to listen ad-free, listen to extra bonus episodes, or read the transcripts of these episodes, then please consider supporting this podcast at patreon.com/EnglishGo. Thank you.